Hey guys, welcome to my review of Ed Sheeran's Number 6. And in a way, this is a sequel, as he's already been famous for a while, but before this, he had a album called Number 5 Collaborations Project. This was released January 9th of 2011, and it had multiple features as well from the grime and underground rap scene. This has some significance, as Number 5 was what almost originally got him famous, whereas now this is just a homage to what was before. Without further ado, let's get into this. This album starts off with a mixed song in Beautiful People, which features the very popular Khaled. The song has a very clear goal to be a radio hit, and that's it. And the entire song kind of hails to the idea of having the mainstream steps of being popular. This is Ed's downfall in a way, as the entire song sounds like it's just a continuing cliche that is never ending. The nice thing is that the bridge is some of the best that Ed has ever done, and I'd like to hear more of it in some of his later albums that he might release. However, that is one of the only few things in that song that I'm a huge fan of, and because of this, I have to give it only a 73 out of 100. South of the Border introduces a great vibe and sound for the trio of artists to perform on, and because of that, everyone on the track sounded really good. And that even includes Cardi B. It's a shocker. The name of the song is kinda wishy-washy, especially because the two features are Spanish, and with it being south of the border, it's controversial, but that's okay. The song is really catchy and really replayable. I could play it on the radio for hours, just constantly, and I would be okay with that. The only downside to this song is the wording, with it being south of the border, and they're both being Latina artists in Cardi B and Camila Cabello. However, there's also a lyric that I find kind of not even just questionable, but great, I think is the best word to use. When Cardi B says that she'd drop an album and she'd drop a baby, but she wouldn't drop the ball. I guess that shows how serious she is in her rap career. Overall, the song is really good, and it's something I could listen to constantly. So I'll give it a 94 for its awesome song overall, but just odd weird words. Cross Me has Ed Sheeran join both P&B Rock and Chance the Rapper in a pop rap song where the unlikeliest person makes the biggest impact. Chance obviously does well with his verse, as his unique flow and voice makes him recognizable and something I actually really enjoy listening to. With that being said, however, this song makes Ed not sound great at all, and he's very uninteresting. Nothing special for him, none of his acoustic beats or instrumentals in it, and then there's no popping vocals that are in it for him either. And that's kind of unfortunate because he's in almost all the time of the song. P&B Rock, however, he brings the one part that I enjoy the most. The chorus has some of the best sounding lyrics, and this is good for them that they found P&B Rock to do this because he is good at choruses. That is all he's really good for, though. Listening to his other discography, it's not solid in what he sounds like for the verses, and I think they found that out very quickly, so they let him take control of the chorus and let him just have that. It works and it makes the song alright, so I would listen to it again, but I have to give it only a 77. The first not great song at all is Take Me Back to London, and it was not enjoyable at all, and unfortunately it was kind of a foreshadowing of what was to come with the album. The beat, when you listen to it, it took me a couple listens to figure it out, but it kind of sounds like the Bejeweled soundtrack. The British rapping of Stormzy is not something I can even really get into. The grime, the accent within it, it's not a good sound. And then, especially with both of them being British, but then Ed is actually rapping more Americanized, it kind of sounds odd. And even more so with his rap sounding more Americanized, the song kind of sounds novelty because of it. Because he used to do that kind of thing in Don't and You Need Me, but even then in those songs, they kind of had a little bit of accent in it, which was good for him because it was a trademark showing where he's from. This song only gets a 59, which is a pass still, but it's not good. It's pretty bad. The only thing that might pass is maybe the chorus. The next song, Best Part of Me, is what Ed's original fans would hope for in whatever he would do next. This song is similar to Tenerife Sea and Lego House, and I enjoyed it a lot, to the point that I had it playing probably for 3 or 4 days straight, no other songs. The acoustic roots of this song and of Ed Sheeran is something so good, and Yeba in this is awesome as well. They match perfectly. This song for me is a 98, easily. The Justin Bieber collaboration on the next song with I Don't Care is a radio cliche of the century. Not only does it replicate the requirements for a hit, it also replicates Ed's previous super hit song, Shape of You, greatly, to the point that other than Justin's voice, you could think you're listening to almost the same song. It doesn't help either that the one significant change in the feature with Justin is not a good combo for Ed's voice and Justin's voice together. This song isn't terrible for the fact that Shape of You was okay, but the lack of originality makes it so that I can't give it much higher than a 61. The rap sensation Travis Scott comes in on Antisocial and brings in dynamic sounds that sound incredible. Now, I get it though that people thought that this sounded a lot like Sicko Mode. I wouldn't have known right away just because I hadn't listened to Sicko Mode. I wasn't into that song because I'm not a fan of Drake, so I wouldn't listen to it. But then listening to it, and I did find it okay, and then listening to Antisocial with Ed Sheeran on it, it was actually really good. To the point that I thought that Ed Sheeran actually did better on that style beat than Drake did. And that's saying something considering Drake is a rap artist, and for a hard beat like that, it should be something that's more in his realm. But for Ed Sheeran, he just made it better. For me, that song is a 95. I would listen to that on the radio. I would jam to it in the gym, work, anything like that. It is a song to listen to. The song that everybody's been raving about, Remember the Name, has a good beat, and the mix of Eminem and Ed and 50 Cent is pretty good. It's kind of crazy to me, though, that Ed's version of the chorus, when he sings it first, sounds really close to 50 Cent's version. The only part that I wasn't a huge fan in this song was 50 Cent's verse. It wasn't matching the kind of style that Ed Sheeran was putting in, and then the style that Eminem brought in afterwards, and then their chorus that they came in together with. But other than that, it was a decent song. I didn't listen to it much, and I probably wouldn't listen to it many other times, but it was a very good song. I would give it an 86. The next on the list is Feels, and it is a really good song with Young Thug and the melodic sound of Ed mixed together. They definitely take hold of the song for me. J Hus definitely didn't add to that greatness as much. As already said before with Stormzy, I'm not a huge fan of the British rapping. However, he is better than Stormzy, in my opinion. And the way his voice is even deeper, and it matches better with the flow. And where his voice is lower, it then matches with Young Thug's higher voice for most of the song. So overall, I'd give it an 89. It's really good. Put It All On Me is the start of a not great deepness here. Ed made it okay, but it wasn't very good. The beat was also very, very bad. Elle May actually matched for Ed Sheeran. Her voice would work very well, but the beat did not work for her, and the verse was not one that matched. I wouldn't listen to it again, but I have to give it a 66 because the vocals were not terrible, but the instrumentals, the beat, and that lackluster verse from Elle May really tore it down. Nothing On You has, no joke, probably the best beat in the entire album, which is, and not, it's kind of crazy obviously, because it's also one of the worst songs in the album to me. This is because Ed doesn't sound good. Spanish rapping doesn't connect to the song style with the beat and the flow, nor does British grime rap from both Dave and Paulo Londra. The only redeeming quality is that beat, and if that's something that you can listen to and that's the only part that you want to listen to in a song, go for it, because that song is definitely the best for it. But I can't do that. I can't listen to just a beat. I gotta have some sort of vocals. It's not there, so I can only give it a 48 out of 100. I Don't Want Your Money has pretty much nothing good for it at all. And that's sad. Uh, Her was not a good fit for either the beat or the voice cohesion with Ed Sheeran. It was poor at best. His voice was decent enough that I would listen to his voice. The beat was bad. Her voice was bad. The album just, it seems to be getting worse. I have to give it a 43. 1,000 Nights with Ed Sheeran, Boogie with a Hoodie, and Meek Mill. It's okay. However, it's also nothing special. And honestly, the feeling I have when I listen to the song is utter nothingness. The beat, I think the beat's partially what has to do with it. It's got nothing in it at all. It's just very bland. Boogie and Meek Mill both just, they weren't a good choice to put on the same song together, especially because their voices are very bland. They're very pale and they don't change at all. They're all the same, like cadence, it's all the same. And it doesn't help for a very simple sounding song. And for it being average, for it being not special and bland, I'll give it a 75. Way to Break My Heart really confused me because I have listened to a lot of Skrillex. I've listened to a lot of Ed Sheeran. Neither of it sounded like either of them. But it was really good to listen to because it wasn't the intense Skrillex that you hear from some of his albums. But at the same time, Ed Sheeran doesn't have this kind of floaty sound either. So it was really nice to listen to. But I can understand how people wouldn't like it just because EDM in general, whether it's soft or hard, is not a fan favorite. But it was genuinely one of the better songs in the album to me. I could only give it an 85 though, just because it was very off from what the rest of the album was doing, because everything kind of had its place, but this one is definitely very left from the rest. And to end this album, they have, to me, the worst song I have ever heard from Ed Sheeran. Ever. Blow with Bruno Mars and Chris Stapleton is not a working song. It is a jumbled mess and it's not good. The rock sound would be okay if it was not these artists. And it's not knocking on Ed or Bruno or Chris. They're all good artists. They all have good music. They have their own lanes. They should stick to them. This rock style is none of the three of them really at all. Chris Stapleton, it could sort of match. I could see it being like his beat. However, he's also a very, very small part of this 3-minute and 32-second song. So that is tough to listen to when the person who it sounds like most is in it least, and yet Ed Sheeran and Bruno Mars both are in it for a good amount of time. Neither of them sound even remotely good to it. I could see they tried their best. It just really didn't work. The sound just, it doesn't have any connective tissue in it. Nothing connects. The cohesion for the voices is terrible. Like I said, it's literally Chris Stapleton's song. But this song is the worst, in my opinion. It took me way too many times to try and even listen to this song fully. I would get as far as like maybe a minute and a half. And like I said before, it's 3.5 minutes long, so it's not easy to fully listen to. So I gotta give it a 30 out of 100, and that's really being generous. So with that being said, this album had some really high notes. I thought Best Part of Me was awesome for his throwback to what his original sounds were. Antisocial was a better sicko mode to me. South of the Border had really good sounds, and although the wordplay is kind of odd. And Feels was also really good. This album is also filled with some really, really low notes as well. And that's kind of unfortunate because it weighs it off differently. Because there's Blow, there's I Don't Want Your Money, Nothing on You, and Take Me Back to London. This album averages to about a 71 out of 100, and I think that's pretty good just because there were some very good songs on there, but there were also some terrible songs on there. I would listen to some of the songs again. I have 5 on my phone currently, so I have the 4 that I mentioned earlier that are the best songs, but I also have Way to Break My Heart because it was just an incredible song. The only issue is that I think it was off-putting from the album, so it would be a great song on its own. Those are the only songs that I would listen to though. If you enjoyed this review, you can always like or subscribe, and if you think I have no taste in music, which is okay, you can always let me know down below in the comment section with what your favorites were and why my favorites are the worst songs. Thank you for watching.